Hey everybody, and welcome to another instant guitar lesson. This is something I just taught one of my private guitar students, and I can't wait to show you. The theme today is becoming a better lead guitar player by using target notes. I'm going to illustrate that for you right now using a 12-bar blues in the key of A as my canvas, so to speak, and the A minor pentatonic scale as my source of target notes, specifically the root note of whatever chord I just played down here. So I'm going to be a one-man band for a minute here. You are not going to have to do that because I set you up with some nice backing tracks. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so check it out. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so easier than it looks. The PDFs, and there's multiple PDFs that apply to today's lesson, they're all available for you at www.song-bike.com. There's more PDFs for other instant guitar lessons. There's lots of videos, lots of stuff over there. Head on over there, become a member. It only costs pennies per day, and I appreciate your support. So let's make a checklist for you, okay? Number one job, the A minor pentatonic scale. Some of you know this scale already. Great. For a variety of reasons, known and unknown, this seems to be the one scale everyone learns sooner or later. The A minor pentatonic scale, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. Practice it with down, up picking. This is all on the PDF. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize what I just said right there. Down, up picking with this hand. Index, pinky, index, ring with this hand. Okay, give your pinky and index up and pinky and ring a bit of a workout. It's excellent practice for those two fingers. So that's number one, memorize the scale. Number two, learn where you can find the notes A, D, and E in this scale. Why? Because we're doing a 12-bar blues as our canvas, like I said. And those are the three notes you're going to need. You're going to need A's, D's, and E's. So playing the scale is nice, but knowing specifically that's an A right there, and that's a D, and that's an E, and there's other A's and D's and E's, more than one of each. You want to memorize where those notes are within the scale, because guess what? You're going to want to play that note, that's your challenge, to play the root note of whatever chord is happening in the background. I'll tell you about the backing tracks in a minute. If the band that you're going to be playing along with is on a D7 chord, you want to play the D note, right? That's your challenge. As soon as they hit that chord, whatever the new chord happens to be, I challenge you to hit the root note of that chord. If it's a D7 chord, you play D and so on, okay? There's only three, A, D, and E, okay? But your challenge is to memorize those notes, okay? And that leads us to the third challenge. Memorize the 12-bar blues format. Don't worry, I've got you covered. I've got it written down right here. 4 beats on each one of these chords, okay? There's a quick change, there's a turnaround at the end. You want to memorize that. Now that sounds like a lot of work to memorize a whole 12-measure song, but if you've never done it before, I have good news. The 12-bar blues is found everywhere. You've heard the 12-bar blues your whole life, whether you knew it or not. So memorizing the order of those chords, you have a big head start simply from being alive and listening to popular music. You know, over the last 100 years of popular music, the 12-bar blues is everywhere, including music that doesn't have the word blues in the description. Certainly rock and country and jazz, full of examples of the 12-bar blues format. Okay, but you do have to memorize that piece of paper, that PDF, okay, the A7s and D7s, because you want to have all this information right there in the forefront of your mind, so you know ahead of time when the band is about to change to the next chord, you want to be getting your root note ready, okay? Not easy, but not too hard. You can do this. All right, I keep mentioning the backing tracks. Here's the good news. In the description of this video are links to 2 YouTube videos that I did not make, but they're both excellent. And both are essentially a backing band playing a 12-bar blues format in the key of A over and over and over again, minute after minute, okay? One of them has a little drum introduction, but then it gets right into the A chord. The other one has the chords popping up right on the screen right in front of you, so it leaves no room for doubt. When the band changes to E7, you'll see that right in the screen in front of you. Very cool, okay? So those are your new bands, okay? Those two backing tracks, and those are just two that I like that I found, but there's a million more, okay? You specifically want to search YouTube, though, for backing tracks, blues backing tracks in the key of A, and slow ones, I think, are a little more forgiving than fast ones, so I chose two slow ones for you. Okay, so the ultimate goal is to put on one of those backing tracks, get your A minor pentatonic scale ready to go, and be so familiar with what's about to happen that while part of your brain is enjoying the process of hitting those root notes, the other part of your brain is already planning ahead and thinking, okay, I know the E7 chord is coming. I know I have an E right here, second string, 5th fret, you know. This does not happen overnight for most of us, but give yourself a few practice sessions. It gets a lot easier. That's why it's beautiful that these backing tracks loop over and over and over again, and they're always ready for you. If you want to practice at 3 in the morning, those backing tracks are there waiting for you. Okay, so let's run down what your job is. Job number 1, memorize the A minor pentatonic scale. Practice it with down-up picking. Practice it with your index, ring, and pinky. Okay. Number 2, learn where the A's, D's, and E's are in that scale. I have that all spelled out for you on this one, okay? Number 3, memorize the 12-bar blues format, right there, 4 counts on every chord. Sometimes you have 8 counts on a chord. Those are illustrated by those little slash marks under each one of those, okay? Now, just when you think you're done, there's one more challenge, and this is a big one, okay? But this is where you become a musician, not just some person who watched some YouTube videos. Instead of conceiving of this as a 12-bar blues in the key of A with the A minor pentatonic, now we are going to prepare you to play in any key. So instead of thinking of A, D, and E as the 3 background chords, or A7, D7, and E7, you want to think of them as the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. What does that mean? Okay. Bear with me, this is easier than it sounds. If we're in the key of A, we give a nickname to the A chord, or the A7 chord, or whatever you want to call it. The nickname is the 1 chord, right? We're in the key of A, we call A the 1 chord. Gotcha. We call D or D7 the 4 chord, and we call E7 the 5 chord. Where do those numbers come from, those nicknames? Well, I thought you'd never ask. If you have an A major scale, A, B, C sharp, D, and so on, right? The note D is the 4th note of the A scale. A, B, C sharp, D. And so in this context, we call the D or D7 chord, we nickname it the 4 chord, that's all. Same thing with E. E is the 5th note of an A major scale, so we nickname the E7 chord the 5 chord. Just nicknames. Very logical nicknames, but that's all, okay? So your big challenge, don't think of A, D, and E, think of 1, 4, and 5. Then it becomes universal, right? It becomes applicable in any key, right? 1, 4, and 5. Then, final step, when you do your minor pentatonic scale, don't think of it as, you know, index, pinky, whatever. Think of it as 1s, 4s, and 5s, right? The root note of each of those chords. Ooh, okay, you can do this, no big deal. People have done this for decades, longer than decades, I'm sure, right? Centuries maybe. But you're not the first person to work your way through this, so you can do it. By the way, this is why I chose slow backing tracks for us, okay? Nice slow backing tracks. Okay, everybody, that's it. That's your job. In case I didn't make it clear when I played it, you are allowed to hit other notes besides the root note. Just hit the root note first. That confirms to everybody that you know what is what, right? You know where you are. You're oriented as a lead guitar player, as an improviser. You're oriented, you're good to go. You heard me play like an A, but then I jumped, you know, back 2 frets. Or sorry, that's a D. Or here's the A. You know, you can do whatever you want within that A minor pentatonic scale. Prioritize hitting the root note right when the band hits whatever chord they're on, okay? And then you can go nuts until when? Until the band changes to the next chord, right? So that's my challenge to you. Nail the root note, right when the band hits the chord. And like I said, you can do other, improvising. Don't lose track of where you are, because after a certain number of beats, could be 4 beats, could be 8 beats, but after a certain number of beats, the band is going on to the next chord, and you have to be ready to do that. You don't want to sound like a noodler, right? Just playing spaghetti, saying, hey, I'm playing my A minor pentatonic scale, look at me. No, you want to get past that. Anybody can do that, right? Root notes are where it's at. Okay, now the reason why this is a big deal to me personally is I was that guy. I was that guy who said, well, I'm playing a scale, how come I sound so bad? I would go to blues clubs. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I would go to blues clubs, and those guys, they made it sound so good. They were telling a story. And of the many things that they were doing that were beyond my skills at that moment, they were targeting specific notes that sounded great with whatever chord was going on in the background. And it took me a little while to figure that out, but I'm hopefully saving you a lot of time. Okay, everybody, head on over to song-bike.com, my website. Download the PDFs, lots of other PDFs available for you there, lots of other videos and stuff. You can check out the books and ebooks I have for sale. You can become a member for just pennies a day. I appreciate your support. And I think that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching this instant guitar lesson. More instant guitar lessons coming up. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.